Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On today's episode, we're going to check out Jared's brand new water box. Alright, thank you for joining me on yet another episode of Parker's Reefs, and as touched on in the intro, today we are visiting a New South Wales reefer, Jared, who is very, very well known in this space, who has recently upgraded to a brand new water box. Now, Jared did have an existing CADE 2100 that he then had to move house with, and he took the opportunity to upgrade to this big water box. And anyone out there that has ever tried to or had to move a reef tank before knows how difficult that is. Now, you throw in the combination of moving your reef tank, moving your house, moving your family, having some medical situations you need to take care of, and then throwing in a whole new custom filtration underneath it. Jared definitely bit off his fair share of tasks to get through there. Now, it would be fair to say things did not go exactly to plan, and Jared has been more than kind to share his experience with us right here on Parker's Reefs, because it's a challenging thing moving reef tanks, and if we can learn something from someone as experienced as Jared, I think we're all better for it. So without any further ado, let's roll the footage of Jared's brand new water box. All right, Jared, we are back at your home here in Sydney, and it looks like you've made quite a few changes since I was here last. This doesn't look like the same tank we saw last time. Can you tell us what you've been up to?
No, this is the Waterbox 340.7.
Yeah, nice.
So I've recently moved.
Okay.
Not too far, only probably about 15 k's from the other house, but in doing so, just decided it was maybe time to, go slightly bigger.
Yes.
The idea was, we'll talk about it a bit later, but the idea was to keep, all the livestock and everything, and it was starting to outgrow. Got some big fish and stuff. It was starting to outgrow I had the CADE 2100.
I was going to say, yeah, for those who haven't seen the previous video, you had a absolutely stunning CADE 2100 with quite a lot of custom stuff built around in the cabinetry and the sump and all sorts of space there. And you say not a very far move, 15 k's, but it's also sort of far enough that you can't exactly pick up a 2.1 meter long tank and just carry it over to the new house.
Yeah. So my idea behind it was that if I had a tank waiting for me at the new house, it was literally going to be take livestock out of one, put it in the other.
Yes.
And it didn't really happen that way.
You've got a family, you had to move a whole house, there's all sorts of things to do, let alone taking care of a 7-foot long reef tank at the same time.
Sounds great in theory, but didn't really happen that way.
No, fair enough.
So yeah, I've gone for the water box just for a number of reasons. The CADE was an excellent tank, served me well, but there was a few things on that CADE that I wish I had.
Sure.
Which I've now done here. One of them being the Euro brace.
Yeah.
The open top is absolutely beautiful. You get, great light spread and all that kind of stuff. But with the amount of flow that I was running in that tank, like the water would sometimes go over the edge. And
so what model water box is this one?
340.7.
340. Can you show us the Euro brace? Oh, I can see through the jump guard there. Look at that.
I'll take all of the guards off for you.
Yeah, no worries. That's a nice water jet Euro brace there. Very clean looking, smooth edges. It keeps that tank nice and square, and as you say, stops those splashes.
Yeah. So that was one of the things that I wanted in another tank. I did also entertain the idea of having a Euro brace made for the CADE.
Sure. Difficult thing to introduce. I mean, obviously you can't do it when the tank's wet.
Yes.
But even when it's dry, it's not easy to retrofit a Euro brace.
And another thing was wanted to add more lighting. In doing so, that I wasn't sure how I was going to do that at the new house.
Sure.
And by doing new lighting, I wanted to do a similar thing to what you've done with the desk. Sit stand legs.
Beautiful.
That are adjustable. I can show you how.
Yeah, give us. You got to give us the demonstration of that adjustable light frame. Oh, look at that. Moves right up to give easy access, and you've programmed yours so that it stops scarily close to the ceiling.
Yeah.
I started to clench my teeth a little bit then, but it's perfectly fine. It stops right there. And
Yeah.
look at that unimpeded access you've got to the tank. Simply beautiful.
That was a massive thing for me because I'm not a little fella, and hanging in a tank and trying to get that frag on that back piece of rock or something like that is a nightmare when you have to deal with lights above you as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard enough to get up on a stool or a step ladder or whatever and reach over. When the gap that you've got to work through there is about the size of your abdomen, it makes it a little bit restrictive, but at least this way you get those lights up out of the way. And I even find with my sit-stand desk light frame that it's not only just when you're doing big scape work or mounting corals. Sometimes it's just you're cleaning the back wall or whatever it may be. You just get the lights up out of the way. It saves you bumping them, saves you knocking I know you don't have, but I've got Kessel reflectors that just magnetise on, and I'd bump it and it'd go for a swim. Now I find it's much easier. Press a button, lift those lights up, they're out of the way.
It makes life easy, and you wouldn't have seen, but prior to me just shutting the other tank down, I had added supplement bars on either side too. So like my gap to get in was like it was enough to kind of feed and stuff. And
it was a letterbox,
that was another thing I needed to add, and have always dreamt of doing an acrylic sump.
Yes.
Which we'll look at in a minute, and really plan. Like I think all of these brands, CADE, Waterbox, whatever, do a great job with their sumps, but there's just something about making a sump specific for you and what you want to do.
Absolutely. I could not agree more.
So I've done a few things here which is very different to what I had in the last setup.
Cool.
And probably a little bit different to what some people have seen on other tanks as well.
Right, okay, you have piqued my interest.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll go with that. That gives the reason for the change, the move, new tank. We'll talk about what's going on with the Livestock a little bit later. Let's go through the equipment. You've touched on the light frame, the sit-stand desk. You've made some extruded aluminium.
Yeah, it's all 40 by 40 T-slot aluminium.
Lovely.
Local company here in Sydney. I managed to get all that. It was fairly tricky to try and figure out how to kind of actually mount that to the legs.
Yes.
But got there in the end. It's all pretty solid.
Yeah. You can see when it moved up and down, it wasn't wobbling or anything. She goes up and stops, and
there's like lots of fail safes in it as well. So I really was worried about it leaning too far forward because it is cantilevered, and you put too much weight on that, it'll start to.
The motors themselves are actually right back here. Yeah. And all of that weight sits to the front of those, but they're made to handle that sort of weight. You'll be fine, I'm sure.
I think a few late night messages to you on how do I do this, how do I do that, to try and finalise the design before I pulled the pin and just went, I'm going to do it.
For sure.
Because otherwise it was just going to be a very standard, lighting structure.
As we were talking about in those messages, when you're setting up a new tank, this is the time to do it. It doesn't cost a fortune.
Yeah.
There are some challenges on getting those stand motors and legs mounted somewhere where it can support that weight. But once it's there forever, and it's fairly cheap, and I don't want to say it's easy, but it's easy enough to do. You do it once, and then with the extruded aluminium, if Reef Factory produce a new light in the next year or two and you want to add something, remove something, change something, it's like working with Lego, so you're set now.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of stuff you can buy that slots in. Like, not only can you get like the little angles and stuff like that. Like I've got cable clips that you can buy, and there's really nice ways that you can mount like your feeders and anything, like even like with your lock line and things like that. You're open to expand far more than you can with any other kind of lighting structure. So
you don't get those kind of options with a Ecotech rail mount or even a Reef Factory or anything like that. It's sort of made to mount onto your tank and put the lights on, that's it.
And when you're talking about this many lights,
well, that poses another question, because we've covered that sit-stand motorized light frame and the beautiful aluminium T-slot. Tell us about the lights you got under this. You got a few fixtures there.
So 6 of the large Reef Flare Pro Blues.
Yes.
2 of the small. So 3 of the large and 2 of the small have come off the existing setup, but that also had some supplement lighting.
Yes.
I had 2 over a frag tank.
Okay.
That I've shut down. I don't need at the moment.
Yes.
And then got an extra one to add to the.
Beautiful.
I did toy with the idea of just putting the same over the other that I had over the other tank onto this, like the 3 large and the 2 small, and then just a bunch of supplementing lighting, because the tank is wider than the other.
Yeah, it's different footprint, so room for more light. But you're currently running these lights at bugger all percentage, yeah?
Well, I've turned them up for the video.
Sure.
Just so we get some good footage. But yeah, I'm running them at 20%.
Yeah.
At the moment, and
they're barely sipping the energy.
I think they're on 70% at the moment for this video. And at the other tank, they were cranking pretty hard. I had them at 75%.
Yes.
And I was getting ridiculous power in the system. Haven't yet tested this
For sure.
to see what I'm getting. I imagine.
What have you been doing? It's like you've been moving house or something. Come on.
Busy times. But, a lot of lighting there, but obviously I'm heavy into SPS.
Yes.
I think the setup I had before was great, but I did get a little bit of shading, like with the rock setup that I've got. I did get a little bit of shading once everything started to grow in.
Yes.
So I wanted that, double layer of lighting, so I can just kind of hit some other angles and stuff as well.
Perfect. It's all about the angles with those LEDs, which is great.
Yeah.
Now, I believe you've also had some changes of flow inside the tank as well?
Yes. So I've got 2 MP60s.
Yeah, nice.
Either end.
Just lurking down the bottom down there.
And 4 of the Reef Factory 30 wave makers.
Yes.
I think I'm going to get a couple more MP60s or 40s.
Yes, okay.
This, believe it or not, this rockscape's going to change.
Yeah, okay. Yep.
Yeah, so I know, and the new rockscape's going to be, there's going to be less of a footprint on the bottom. So I want to really have a lot of flow down low.
Sure.
So the MP60s, being what they are going to sit a fair bit lower, stir up a lot of that
Makes sense.
Stuff at the base.
Bare bottom system, you can have flow pumps down low. You're not stirring up sand, and if you're going to have a pump down low, well, you're kind of faced with 2 options. You can have a corded pump down low and have that cord go all the way up, or you can have something that's cord out of the tank, mount them low. It makes sense to have them the way you have them. Have the cord-free ones down low, the corded ones up high, and make the most of the aesthetics there. And I think that'll work quite well. And yeah, we'll have a look at that new scape in a little bit to see. But I think with the flow pumps you've got, that's going to be there's going to be no chance of detritus settling anywhere in there.
Yeah, definitely. Heavy flow for the SPS, but having them down low is definitely going to keep everything suspended off the bottom and filtered out. That's the plan at the moment. But I think the 2 MP60s at the moment are like only on 30-40%.
Yeah.
And they're not in their final locations because of the new scape as well.
Of course.
Like there's, with what they're doing at the moment, like there's a lot of flow in there already.
Definitely. I saw before when you were cleaning the glass, you knocked a snail off the glass, and that poor bugger, he's a big trocus, and he still went for a ride right on the base of the tank. He was getting blown in all sorts of directions.
Yeah.
So I'm sure there's plenty of flow there. There's no issues.
No, I do love my flow,
Now, we will cover what's going on inside the tank in a second, but I've got to get you to open up the cabinet doors because you've done, if it wasn't enough moving house, swapping tank, changing light frames, doing all this, you decided to completely overhaul your sump and filtration process. Any chance you can take us through what's going on there?
Yep, so I've gone a full acrylic sump with Dreams by Design. So again, Balaji,
our good friend Balaji at Dreams Plus
has helped me design this setup, very specific to my needs and what I want to do.
Yes.
Obviously, I wanted a really, really big filter roller.
Yes.
So it's actually 300 mil wide, 550 mil deep.
That's a big filter roller. Now, tell me, I believe this is one of the innovative approaches to filter rolling that Dreams Plus do, in that it's the fleece actually sits above the waterline.
Yeah. So all the filtration's done above
Yep.
the water level. Most actually sit down in the body of the water.
Yes.
And the water tries to escape. This works as it's the water's just falling onto the fleece.
Takes full advantage of gravity, in that the water is always going to go lower, and the fleece is right at the top. So I'll try and get the camera in there. It's not an overly easy process to show, but you can see there the water actually comes in, and the fleece is right at the top. It rolls through there, and then all of that space below is just for the water to exit then down through and make its way to the next chamber, which is super, super innovative.
I could maybe turn the lights on for you on the sump. It's got some fancy...
Yes, Dreams Plus have all the RGB goodness. Look at that.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool. Like, it does all different things. Like, you can just have a nice bright white light to make it look nice and neat. But yeah, it does these RGB.
All the disco lights.
It dances and does different things, which is pretty cool. It's a bit of a... It's more of a gimmick than anything, but it's cool to have.
Well, this whole hobby is about aesthetics, so why not have the option there? As you say, you can be business as usual with just the white, or you can party it up with the RGB.
Yeah.
Sounds good. So, going with that, I mean, you've done some custom work on the manifold here, so you've taken advantage of the accessible ports on the Waterbox, and then made a manifold which comes through to your above water fleece filter roller here. And I should also point out that the Dreams Plus filter roller, that's using a Reef Factory large roll, is that correct?
Yeah, large roll, yeah.
Yeah, so they're just, you're not tied into bespoke sort of rolls that you can only find at one location. You've got off-the-shelf filter rollers that you can buy and put in this thing. And we know the Reef Factory large filter rollers are absolute beasts.
Yeah.
Huge rolls.
It's also fully adjustable as well. So if I wanted to, I could run a smaller roll on that. It'll just, like, that's the largest roller mat on the market.
Yes.
So it's built to take the largest, but it'll do smaller as well.
Adjust down. Incredible.
So yeah, the manifold feeds into the roller mat.
Yes.
And obviously it's doing all the filtration. It actually has a control board here on the side.
Yeah, I have seen some of the electronics, and this is another nice feature of the Waterbox there, just a nice little magnetic attached door which lets you get in over here to see all the workings. And you have a look at the controller on that filter roller. It also has this really nifty little feature here, this little optical sensor which checks for when the fleece has run out, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, we found that some rolls, as they finish, they're glued quite well to the actual roll.
Yes.
And if it tries to keep rolling, it'll damage the motor.
Yeah, right.
So that's a fail-safe. So once it detects that the roll's empty, it won't allow anything to try and roll and damage anything. So you'll just hear it kind of overflow, you'll hear it's noisy, and then you've got to get in there. And also, it's a fail-safe, so anyone who has a roller mat knows that you don't want that roll to go all the way through, because trying to feed it back through is an absolute nightmare. So if you can kind of catch it before you staple the new roll on, it goes through. It just makes life heaps easier that way.
Much easier.
That's that was there for a reason. It's just all trial and error. Like I've kind of been helping Balaji a little bit with his designs and what works, what doesn't work. I've had a few prototypes, and
bit of research.
We've gotten to this point now where we're kind of like, this is, the Rolls Royce. We're very happy with how this operates and runs. And
as smart as Balaji is, and as impeccable as his work is at Dreams Plus, sometimes there is just nothing as valuable as real world testing.
Yes.
And you've got someone such as yourself as an experienced reefer who can put forward some suggestions, put forward some findings from testing things, and you can refine a product to work as well as it is right now, which is a testament to both of the work you're doing.
Especially when you want to be a little bit different.
Anyone can make
anyone can make like that, Reef Factory Clara C style roller mat and dump it in a sump. But once you want to go out of the norm and try new things to try and make things more effective, then you really need to trial and error things.
Of course.
So, but yeah, that's been good. It's only probably maybe a month old.
Yes.
It's only just started turning roll recently, like, because you can imagine how big that compartment is for it to fill up and get dirty.
It's huge.
It's taken time, so it's only just started to roll now. It's got a automatic, so I can kind of bypass
You can push it across if you want to. Yes. Yeah. Very nice. Now, coming out of the filter roller, you come across into your skimmer chamber there. Nice big skimmer chamber.
Yep. Yeah. The octo's unchanged.
Yep.
I have been exploring about an upgrade, something slightly larger.
Sure.
But
bigger tank gives room for more bio load, gives requirements for more filtration, more skimming.
Yep.
The octo's been working well, but yeah, you've got room in the sump for something bigger, so
yes,
the upgrade temptation is always there, I guess.
Yeah, and the beauty also of having the roller mat like that is, underneath is completely, there's a void under there, so that can pretty much, if I wanted to, house all of my media, all of my heaters, everything, which means the entire rest of the sump is open for whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
So if I wanted to, I could get a huge external pump skimmer in there and really
aerate that.
Really take all of my nutrients out of the system if I wanted to, but yeah.
Bring back ultra low nutrients. No, don't do that.
Not for me, no.
But you're right, because in this system here, the fleece actually sits like there.
Yes.
And this is just all water column down there. So
right.
You can put heaters, you can put media, you can put whatever. In fact, fantastic spot to put ceramic media because the water is as free of detritus as it's ever going to be right there.
Yeah.
It's just come through the fleece. So
correct.
Very handy feature of the design. One thing I did notice, and I know this was on the tank last time, but it needs to be discussed again. You've got this awesome little filter on top of your skimmer there. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's something I just toyed with the idea of just removing some of that odor that you get from skimmers, especially when they're full.
Yes.
Once you start to kind of, fill a cup up, you do, regardless if you close the doors or not.
Oh, you still get a whiff every now and then.
You do get that little whiff, and
this tank's in your living/kitchen area. No one wants skimmer smell in that area.
Yeah. So by having carbon draw through the skimmer, it eliminates that odor.
Very nice.
So yeah, I think I touched on before. Adrian helped me out with making 3D printing that.
3D printing maestro that he is,
and it's been excellent. It's got nothing in it at the moment, but I'm not really skimming a whole lot at the moment.
No, fair enough. But for anyone watching at home that is not as fortunate as you and I to be good friends with Adrian, it is a relatively simple 3D print design that you could get anyone in your area to replicate. Really, it just sits over those holes that all skimmer lids have. Gives you some space for to put some carbon in there, and it's just got a little vent on top. So simple, effective, doesn't take up a lot of space, and
And for anyone who wants to toy with that idea as well, like you could literally just put a little stocking with carbon on top of your of your skimmer to test out the whole theory. You don't need to go 3D printing and ruining a lid or anything like that just yet. But yeah, I've seen a lot of people, or even just like a Tupperware container and things like that with some holes drilled in it. It'll help with a little bit of odor.
Very nice. Now, coming on from the skimmer chamber, we come across to a couple of dirty big sea torch media holders there. Can you tell us what you're running in these?
So one is just media, purely the Aquaforest Life Biofill.
Yeah, nice. Yes, I run the same stuff myself.
Yep. And the other one's just carbon, just to kind of, take some impurities out of the water and buff the water and things like that.
Yep.
But my big thing with this system was as much media as I possibly can.
Sure. Yep.
I have always had fairly high nitrates.
Okay.
I've always relied on things like turf scrubbers and even dosing some things and Zeovit and things like that to help remove nitrates. And I don't think I had enough media in the past.
Sure.
So yeah, media plus in this system.
This is the evolution of reef keeping, that we come up with an approach or a system or a design that should meet all our needs. Our needs often evolve, they change. we learn some things. We learn things that worked for us, that didn't work for us,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. And then on the next opportunity, when, well, as I say, on the next system, but in your instance, you've gone a whole new tank, whole new custom sump. Perfect opportunity to implement a different approach and see how that works for you. And
so there's also 8 of those Polyp Lab blocks
the bricks
in there.
Yep.
There's all the media inside that large reactor, and then I've got some over here as well.
Yeah, very, very nice. Now you've got some lovely, I can see some like probe holders, you've got dosing line holders, all that custom stuff that you get with the Dreams Plus custom sump.
Yeah,
put them everywhere you want. And then once you go past those 2 media chambers there, what do we got going on here? It looks like you got 2 return pump sections.
2 return pump sections. So I toyed with this idea for a little while, and even in the other sump, I thought about separating the pump chambers.
Okay.
The reason being is if anyone's ever pulled apart a UV and also runs Calcwasser would know how quickly you can kind of deteriorate that inner glass sleeve.
Yes. When that sleeve turns into a big piece of chalk, it's kind of not providing a lot of UV radiation.
Yes. and a lot of the dosing and stuff like that. Like you don't necessarily want your aminos and stuff or anything that you're feeding your coral and stuff to go through a turf scrubber or or an algae reactor or anything like that.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose,
Yeah, so the theory is this front chamber here is purely to pump water through a UV and a chiller.
Okay.
And that's about it. Oh, and obviously whatever runs off a manifold like these 2 reactors.
Yep, so it's your accessories pump.
And then the back chamber, which is a little bit more tucked away and not needed to get to as much, is just a return pump for the tank.
Yeah, right.
So all the goodies like, all of my major elements that I dose, any aminos, any food, anything I want to dose, Calcwasser is all pumped straight through the tank before it reaches anywhere else.
So it goes straight in front of the pump that pumps up into the display. That way, as you say, you're not feeding aminos through a chiller, through a UV sterilizer, through anything else, or not just aminos, Calcwasser, Phyto, anything at all you want to dose into the tank. It's going into the tank.
Yeah. Yep. The way I kind of mention it to Bellagio was one's a clean return chamber, one's more of a dirty pump chamber. Try and keep this one as clean as possible so my equipment will last a bit longer and less servicing.
I mean, it makes sense.
I
always say automation should be replicating a manual process. And I can tell you now, there's no way known if you were going to hand dose Calcwasser, you'd put it right onto the inlet of the UV sterilizer.
Yeah.
You're just not going to do that. You're going to dose it into the tank or into a high turbulent area in the sump that leads to the display tank. So if you're going to automate things with a dosing pump, why not replicate the same process? And, it's obviously, I mean, it's easier said than done. You've put a lot of thought into the layout and design of this sump, but it's worth it in the end. I mean, how many times do you get to design a custom sump?
Yeah, that's right. And it gives me the option to, like with all the dosing ports and RO line ports and stuff like that, I can change things up if I want. If I don't want to dose something directly straight into the tank, it can come into this chamber or even the chamber over here that we'll look at as well.
That's a super valid point, because you and I have both been in this game long enough to know that, I mean, we were joking before about ultra low nutrients and that hobbies like this, trends change, methodologies change, and also just our process and our desired outcome changes. When you're building an infrastructure for a tank like this that you hope is going to be good for 10, maybe more years, it's probably naive to think that your approach or anything is not going to change in that time frame. You need to be flexible enough to give yourself some space and some ability to adapt to that. And things like the T-slot, so you can change that. Things like the sump get a little bit harder, particularly when you custom build it and you design it. You have in mind at the point in time, I want this reactor, I want this skimmer. But in 2 years' time, skimmers might double in size, or they might half in size, and you've got wasted space. And as you say, dosing things here, there, or whatever, there might be some silver bullet supplement that comes out in a year's time that does everything, does bacteria and does this and that. You've got to dose it at a particular location. Having the ability to adjust your system to do that is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and my biggest thing with this system was make things like just easier all around.
Always the best aim.
The CADE was amazing, but I went through it for a probably more of a visual, impressive look rather than a functional look.
Sure.
There were like the manifold was beautiful, and all the plumbing was excellent and beautiful, and all the reactors sitting inside the sump were, really impressive to look at when you open up the doors. But when you need to change out some GFO, it's
a bit of a pain in the rear.
Becomes a bit of an issue, and like sometimes like even changing a fleece roller or getting a pump out to service and things like that. So like this is all function. Like like it's probably a nicer looking sump in the end, but.
I was going to call you out on that. You were saying that, that this is function over form, but holy moly, man, the plumbing in there. I know you've deliberately done the dark grey plumbing on a black background. Even like things like your dosing lines to and from these reactors are in black. The sump is predominantly white and clear, and you can just have the white lights on there, not the RGB. It's stealth. It looks beautiful. Nothing looks out of place. But as you say, function is of paramount. But you've managed to get a bit of form in there too.
Well, I think the beauty of this, like a white cabinet with a black interior.
Yes.
You want the sump to stand out. You want that to be the feature. And sometimes, like, you can get all these really sexy, dosing lines, red, blue, green, and stuff.
Yep.
The moment that they aren't kept and maintained to a night, like it just looks like spaghetti.
Yeah, they look incredible when they're like perfectly aligned, but as soon as they get a centimeter out of position, they look messy.
Same with all like your black cables and stuff for pumps. Like you can't see them in here.
No, there's very little cabling visible here at all. But more importantly, it's not hidden to the point where if you do need to pull a pump out, it's a 2-hour job. You can just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, which is the best of both worlds.
Yeah, and same like with the reactors as well. Like, just pop that hose off, take it out, do whatever I got to do, put some new media in it, hose back on, turn it back, done. Like, there's no. I let GFO go for 8 weeks when it probably should be 4.
Sure.
This I can do it now, and it will take me 5 minutes.
It's front and center right there. Yeah, you can get to it easily.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that's not the only trick. You had a number of tricks in that sump there, but you've got another little section over here that I'm assuming is not an ATO reservoir because you've got a light and some media and stuff in there.
Yeah, no, this is the Fuge.
Okay.
Refugium.
Tell me about it. You've got a detached yet attached Refugium.
Correct.
How does this work?
So if you follow the plumbing there out the top of the return chamber, the manifold chamber.
Yes.
My plumbing goes out, feeds a UV.
Okay.
And a chiller.
Yes.
Pumps back into this Refugium, which then goes back into the main tank pump chamber.
Okay.
So I'm circulating water from a manifold chamber back in. So I'm like really moving water, all the way from one chamber through the tank and then back and filtered out again.
Right. You've got a couple of reasons for this approach. One's a requirement based on you couldn't go a sump the full length there just because of some uprights.
There is one upright there that kind of limits how big a sump you can go, but Refugiums are ugly. And I wanted a sexy Refugium.
I was going to say, you say Refugiums are ugly. This is not ugly. Look at this beautiful custom acrylic piece here, Dreams Plus. You've got the light on there, it's all sealed up. You've got dosing lines into there, so I'm assuming you can put things like your iron supplements and stuff like that, or when you've got the calcium reactor up and running, that effluent that's full of CO2 that the macroalgae just wants to soak up. You may as well put it straight into that macroalgae so that it can soak it up. That's a beautiful looking Refugium.
Yeah. So the theory, realistically, in the end, is Refugium in your sump is super effective. Everyone knows that. It's been happening for years and years and years.
Yes.
People swear by it, and it's such an old school method, but still used unchanged to this day, right? So
it stood the test of time.
But I do think, like, having a Refugium in your sump, you kind of limit yourself to how much microorganism and stuff you can have living there, because they're going to get sucked out by skimmers and all kinds of things. So they're effective, but I think as being detached,
yes,
possibly maybe it's unproven yet, but it may be a little bit more effective.
Worth testing the theory.
Everything can kind of live within here, and then it will get pumped back into the main tank.
I guess, as you say, if the Refugium is part of the main sump, you're restricted to the flow through it by your return pump speed. If you want to change the flow in your Refugium, you really are changing the flow in your tank and the whole sump. This ability here that you've got, this water gets pumped through it and it drains back into the rest of the sump, yeah? So
yes,
you can run an ultra low flow through it, you can run an ultra high flow through it, you can do a bit of both. You can run one during the day, one during the night, whatever you want, whatever. Yeah. We talked about a couple of times now about future-proofing things. That's very forward thinking.
Yeah, and there's multiple taps in there too. So I don't think I'm going to go CADE. I think we're going to explore maybe some kind of Calipra, or even maybe really look at the Dragon's Breath.
Yeah, cool.
If it's a nice looking fuge, it should have some nice looking algae. But I'll get to that when I need to. But it has multiple taps there, so I can tumble quite easily. Without adding wave makers and all kinds of crazy things.
Yeah, so you got these nice little duck bills here angled in there, so you can get the flow just to keep, as you say, stop the detritus settling in there, and just keep the macro as clean as possible and do everything it needs to do.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Now, I did also spot in there a nice little Reef Factory smart tester. Got that one configured to phosphate or magnesium, or?
Yeah, phosphate.
Phosphate, yep.
KH keepers on the back wall.
Very nice. All the Reef Keeper goodies.
Yes. I've left the space underneath this smart tester for the next smart tester that will be doing nitrate.
Beautiful.
Which will arrive fairly soon, I believe.
Excellent. Exciting times.
Yeah. That's about it for under here. I've got another tap here.
I was just about to say I was going to let you finish, but then I was like, there's one more tap I've got to ask about, and this is something that's overlooked so often, but man, it's so handy when it's done nicely like that. You've got a fish acclimation, I guess it could be a coral acclimation too, but probably a fish acclimation tap there.
Yeah.
Where you come home from the fish shop, you've got yourself a fish, you got to drip it for a couple of hours. Who wants to get out a bit of bloody dosing line and tie a knot in it and all that jazz? You can sit him up in a bucket, put it down there, you've got a little John Guest fitting on there, hook up a bit of 1/4-inch tubing, open that tap to the speed you need, and he's got a direct feed of tank water right there.
Yeah, it works for many applications. Like I use it to kind of fill up a jar when I'm testing water.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to put my hands in water anymore.
Exactly.
It just makes a lot of sense.
It makes so much sense. Why do we keep putting cups into the tank to scoop water out when we're pumping water everywhere and doing all these custom plumbings and manifolds? Make something available like that. It just makes sense.
Yeah, when you do some sinking custom plumbing, and why not add a T and another ball valve, and there you go, it's done.
Easy, nicely done. Well, that is one heck of a custom layout down there. I know it's early days in the systems running, but it looks fantastic, and you've got even more tricks to show me down the side here.
There's a control board down the side there.
Yeah, look at this. So you've got all the Reef Factory controllers on there. You've got the MP60 controllers there, and it just makes easy access and a super clean look to all those there. See all the percentages on the Reef Factory pumps there showing what they're running at. Super clean. And then I believe that also has the ability to open up so you can mount all the power bricks and stuff behind it. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's like a false wall inside.
Nice. Get in there.
Which you hide some bricks, and I've got my battery backup in there.
Put all the ugly stuff in there that you don't want to show off. You want to put the controllers where you can see them, and let that just be the sort of the front of house and back of house, I guess, which works well.
And that's where I think the LX Waterbox kind of stands alone in like these package tank setups that they take an idea and just really kind of fine tune, and like even T-slot aluminium as a frame is excellent. Like I can mount, and I've mounted lights and stuff in here, and all kinds of stuff. I don't have to drill into anything.
That's it. Aluminium's great. It's not going to rust. It's not going to swell or rot. T-slot aluminium is even better because, like you've done with the lights, you can bolt anything to it.
Yeah.
Add an extra shelf, mount a light, add some pipe holders, dosing light holders, whatever you want to do, and you can even do things like you can run power cords through these channels here and put covers over it so they're completely hidden.
Yes.
That makes it a little bit of a pain in the rear when you got to pull that power lead out, but
looks clean.
You can do things like that. You don't have to, but you can. It just leaves options open. Very, very industrial. I like it.
And the control boards, like I think most companies do a control board now, but to have a control board that, you know, you can hide bricks and stuff inside and it's nice all hidden. Like I said, you don't see cables in here because of that. Things like that, you know,
all over there,
and also like the big wide doors.
These are a big door. It's great.
Yeah,
this is a big. So, how long is this system? The water box.
So the water box is 2,200 long.
Yeah, nice.
750 deep.
Yes,
650 tall.
That's a big system. What sort of literage is that?
So I believe we worked it out to be just under 1,500 litres.
It's a big system.
with sump and everything.
Yeah. Big system, and as you say, you've got these big. These are like a marine ply door, they're
PVC coated too. PVC so they're not just like a polyurethane painted door.
No,
which will, like, if you chip a little bit off, it will swell.
Yes,
they're coated in PVC, so it's almost like a plastic door.
Yeah,
but they're heavy.
They're heavy. You feel the quality when you open it.
Well, you need like 3 hinges per door just to open them. Yeah, and then they have these really nice, you know, like the push open, which is
and it looks like they actually work too, which is even better.
No door handles, no nothing.
Yeah, super clean.
Even like the end panels, they fit really nicely.
Beautiful.
You know, there's a lot of thought that goes into like these systems.
And correct me if I'm wrong. This size and this model of water box actually comes fully assembled. Yeah, you're not building things. You're not putting the stand together and all that.
About the only thing you have to do is put the hinges and doors on.
Yeah, perfect.
Everything else is done. You adjust your feet, you put your tank on, fill it with water.
It's a selling point that is far overlooked, I think, in this hobby. I don't know about you. I've built my share of flat packs and I freaking hate it. There's no way known I would put a 2.2 meter long multi-ton tank on a flat pack that I've built. There's no way known it's going to happen. So
exactly right.
Knowing that this has been built at the factory, it gets arrived. Plus, it just saves you time. You're not losing bolts and screws and needing tools. You open the box, put it in the place you want, and off you go.
Yeah, and if you are sensible and you keep the stuff that comes with it and all the plumbing that comes with it, it is literally so easy to get running that day. Like you put your cabinet in place, you put your tank on top, all the manifold, all the plumbing and everything from the weir just screws together. You put your pump in, you plumb that up, and you could be pumping water in a couple of hours. Like they're super easy. I think it takes away that fear for a lot of people that want a large tank, but they're like, how do I physically do this?
I'm not an engineer. How do I go about this?
They take all of that worry out for you. And like the sump that comes with it is more than adequate. It was just me and my...
I know your OCD, don't worry.
Yeah. Well, not even just the OCD, just things that I wanted for the next system.
Of course.
Just little changes and even equipment and stuff. Like I could have quite easily just got a Reef factory roller mat to put in the standard sump. But just the larger roller, so I touch it less, and I can have a much bigger bioload of fish and all that kind of stuff.
For sure.
Bigger skimmers, bigger everything, you know. So
that's it. No, makes sense. Now, I believe that's not all of the equipment. You did touch on before that one of these 2 return pump chambers here pumps off into a space where you've got a chiller and UV, but looking around this room, I don't see a chiller and UV. You've got this mounted somewhere else?
Yeah, so part of the reason why I moved to this house. I'll go even further back. Okay?
Sure.
So my other house, you walk in the front door and the tank was there.
Yes.
Which was excellent because I had people around. They go, "Wow, look at this!" You know, the guy who drops the pizza off is going, "Wow." He wants to hang around and talk about fish.
You're just a marine aquarium representative to the public.
And it was great. Like even if I sold frags, I didn't have to drag people through a house. It was all done at the front. But what I lost was I never actually got time to enjoy. There was not enough room to kind of have a little chair in there, and
it was a dedicated space for the tank, basically. So.
And then it was filled with the frag tank as well, and equipment in the corner, and it was like it was a room of aquariums.
Yes,
and, it was great and it was beautiful. But part of the reason why I, got back into the hobby after a few years off, a few years ago now, is because it's almost therapeutic for me. Like I enjoy watching the tank and loving and enjoying the tank. But so yeah, part of the reason when I had to pack up and move was I wanted to be able to enjoy a tank again and have it in a living space.
You want it in a space where you're spending a lot of time that may not be directly in that space because of the tank.
Yeah. So yeah, it's here, perfect spot. I have 2 chairs that are usually here, but we're filming today. And
oh, you and I have spent many hours in these chairs over the last couple of days, just sitting here looking at the tank.
Couple of beers as well. Yeah.
Surely not.
Yeah. And yeah, so I can sit and enjoy this space, but I also thought to myself, I don't really want the equipment that comes with, a 7+ foot tank.
Well, this is the double-edged sword of having a reef tank in your living spaces. Yeah, you want to be able to see it when you're cooking dinner, when it's an ad break on your favourite show, whatever it may be. But you also want to be able to live in that space. You don't want UVs there. You don't want chillers there making heat and noise.
And a beautiful sump like this is completely pointless if it's going to be spaghetti wires and dosing lines and a calcium reactor and all the stuff that are ugly.
Yes. So calcium reactors clicking away with solenoids on and off, and
yes. So yeah, I have an understairs room just next to the tank here.
Yeah, that's so cool. You can see a little staircase here, and we'll make our way through here.
And it's a mess because I've obviously just moved, so there's some boxes and stuff.
But this is the space where you can put all your treasures in here. So we've got calcium reactors in here, we've got chillers in here, dosing containers, battery backups. You've got, nearly forgot this big guy here, this big UV here, and you've managed to plumb this all through to utilize this space under the stairs and get all this stuff out of the way, but also give you a good space to work too. Yeah, like you can come in here, and if you've got to refill dosing containers, you're not, you don't have to be doing it under the sump and trying to find room there and spilling things and all that. You've got it all in here, and just makes it easy to work and out of the way.
Yep, and the big blue containers, the Kalkwasser.
Yep, beautiful.
So yeah, it's just an area where the ugly stuff can live. It can still be functional. Like I said before, it's more function over form with a lot of this stuff.
But this is perfect. This is literally the space under the stairs. It doesn't need to be pretty in here.
No. Like you said, I can come in and dump 5 litres of, alk into a container and good to go. I don't have to pull it out, take it outside and play with it or anything like that. And it's just a tiny, small little hole through the wall and
beautiful.
Everything.
Works a treat. I love it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that is all of the infrastructure, which I've got to say is incredibly impressive. Now you've got to tell us about inside the glass box itself. And obviously things have had a heck of a journey to move house, change tank, keep everything running there. Can you tell us what's going on, what the plans are?
Yeah, so the viewers are probably wondering what's going on because obviously if you've watched the other tank, it didn't look like this. So the joys of moving tanks and moving livestock.
Let this be a warning for everyone that's about to move house with a 7-foot long reef tank.
It didn't go to plan.
Yep.
So I, like I said, I didn't move far, and I had some great help from some local guys here, and thank you to all you guys. You know who you are.
Good work, guys.
You can see how much rock is in here, how many fish are in here. So it was a late night one night, getting everything here. I borrowed a 1,200 litre pond style tub off Sunny at Eastwood.
Yeah, nice. So big shout out to Sunny. Well done.
For that. And everything successfully got here.
Yes.
And lived in that tub for 3 weeks.
Wow, that is a feat in itself. Nice work.
Yeah.
Tick.
And it almost ran like a tank. I was dosing and
You weren't just tempted to keep a reef pond in the
It
garage?
was pretty cool. Because you got that top-down view.
Everything
you
looks
don't get in an aquarium.
No.
You get a different view of everything. And, everything survived. Like I had, a couple of issues with a few dying, which got shaded by others.
Yes.
But yeah, the day that the weekend that everything came from the tub into the tank, just didn't go to plan.
I got to tell you, I felt incredibly helpless. I was messaging you, which was probably the last thing you needed, going, how's it going? Keep me updated, what's going on?
Yeah.
And I could see the demeanor in your messages just getting sadder and sadder and sadder. And I was sitting at home, which is, it's like a 9-hour drive from here.
Yeah.
I'm just going, crap, how what can I do?
Yeah.
What's the next flight I can get on? This is not going to plan.
Yeah, so I had a good chat with Gareth Barber,
Yes.
who kind of helped me through the entire process of the move as well. And he seems to think that we've stirred up a toxin within the rock, which has upset some coral, which has caused them to slime, and just a knock-on effect from there. And I would say I know it still looks like there's some colour and some coral in there, but I've lost 90% of good-sized colonies.
Yeah, there is no sugarcoating it. You've lost a lot, but the silver lining is, even you've said, the tank looks considerably better this week than it did the week before.
Oh, there's what is alive now was brown or paling out or dead before. Like there is some pieces in here that were dead, completely dead, and like you can see a little splash of green, and it's just clinging for life.
Life finds a way.
Yes. So with that all happening, I took a good couple of weeks away from it.
Yes.
Let it do its thing. There's no dosing happening on this. There's no maintenance. There's no nothing on this at the moment. It's just running. I endeavour to keep the fish alive.
Yes.
But and I'll frag out everything else that's in there, and give some away and sell some off and things like that.
Yes.
But yeah, I pretty much gave up for a little bit, after all that happened.
It would be difficult for anyone to lose that much coral, but I mean, you combine that with the fact you've moved your family into a new home, you've set up a new tank, which is a feat on its own. Both of those things are a feat on their own.
Yeah.
Then you had some personal health challenges you had to go through at that time as well.
Yeah, a couple of surgeries in the middle of all that as well. So
any one of those things, the rest of us would be like, this reefing game's too hard. You took on all 3 or 4 at the same time.
Yeah.
So understandably, it was a bit of a challenge, and I'm super pleased to be here with you today to say that I know when you were going through those challenges, I was like, just take some time off. Let's not work it out. Let's not think about how you're going to sell it, how you're going to get out right now. Just forget about the reef. Just put an auto feeder on it. Just let it do its thing. We'll visit it again in a week or two. And by the time I got up here, mate, you were like a new reefer again. You are so enthusiastic and have some crazy plans of what's going to go on with this tank. Can you take us through what you're thinking now?
Well, also just on what you said before, I think what you mentioned then is what I love about the hobby, even more so than the coral and the fish, that we all have each other's back when times get tough. I don't know how many times I've seen, people say, I'll help you. Like the guys who helped me move, they don't have to do that. They've got families.
Of course not. Yeah. They've all got backs they can break. They don't need to be lifting heavy tanks, but they know you can't do it on your own.
Like Gareth Barber was sending me voice messages on trying to figure out what's happened and how to stem the loss, and yourself messaging me and trying to keep spirits high. And like even shop owners that have said to me, when you're done and you're back and ready, I've got a little frag for you. And just little things like that make things about the hobby, so much.
That's what it is, yeah.
Like last night, we've just come from the Blue Light District, and it was a great night for all. And it's good to get out and hang with friends and talk about things that we love. But I think having each other's back is a very big part of the hobby.
It's a big thing, but I think every single one of us know, everyone in the reefing hobby generally has a reef tank as a result, and anyone who has a reef tank knows that there's no way known everything's perfect. We all go through massive challenges, and we all know how difficult that can be on your own. So we've all been there. I know you have helped way more people than have helped you. So kind of chuckle a little bit when you're surprised at the number of people that want to help you, because what goes around comes around, and I think you've put a lot of positive energy out there, so it should come back your way.
Well, I think karma's a big thing for me, and you help those, and it will come back for you at some point. So, I've gone through a crappy situation here, but I'm making light of it now, and so the plan is now that it'll be completely rescaped.
Cool.
And I'll start fresh, like with all the fish will remain.
All the fish will remain. They're family members. They're not going anywhere. You've had them for years.
Yes. But I'll start with frags. Hopefully, whatever's alive here, I'll frag and I'll keep a small piece.
Yep.
And I'll give the rest away. I'll start as a brand new kind.
I mean, it makes sense. You've gone to a new system with a new lighting setup, new flow, completely new custom sump with a couple of new methodologies that you're trying in there.
Yep.
Obviously, the fish we don't want to just replace. It's like saying your kid's been bad this week, we'll get a new kid next week. We don't do that. We keep our family members. But the opportunity to go with a newer, modern approach, try some new methodologies, and try some new corals and things like that, it makes sense.
Yeah, and you learn a lot as well, right? Like, we're forever learning with this hobby, and originally I wanted to do a certain type of scape, but the rock wasn't available through COVID.
Yes.
So this is the scape I went with, and I love this scape.
Yes.
But I have found that certain corals shaded certain corals, and placement of corals didn't so much work.
Yes.
So I've learnt a lot from this scape, which has brought me to my next scape, and even planned out coral. Like, I've got the rock sitting there in the garage. We'll go have a look. I've already planned out what
species, what colours, what type of coral are going to be mounted where.
Yeah.
I know you and I have done over the last couple of days, we've done some miles looking at some incredible reef tanks, which have either already aired on this channel or will be airing very, very shortly.
Yep.
And I mean, we've both been in this game for a long time, and yet we're both getting inspiration from every single tank we see. And when you're in a position where you've got a brand new scape that you've made positions for like probably 300 frags to go in there, it's exciting. And seeing your excitement of you'd look at someone's tank and be like, look at that tabling purple acro.
Let me know when you frag it.
When it's ready to frag, let me know. I've got the spot on my new scape for that. It's going to be perfect.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that was part of the hobby that I also missed a little bit as well. Like,
absolutely.
I get around to shops and stuff, and you see that gem piece in the tank, and it's affordable, and you just look at it and go, I do not have a spot for it.
No. The only spot I can put it is the back of the tank where no one's ever going to see it.
Yeah. So I was finding spots for coral before, and as you can imagine, it was all. I could probably share some pictures as well. We can put them up, but it was fairly grown and it was looking nice.
Sure was,
and there was no room for anything. Let alone there was no room for coral or fish. It was just packed.
Yes.
So the extra width and space has given me space for maybe some more fish.
Yes.
But a new scape, more coral, and I've got that excitement now that. I can go pick up a piece there,
beautiful,
and those people that we've seen that have those special pieces, I can say,
next time
I'd like a piece of one of those.
Next time it sprouts a branch, you've got my number.
Yep. So I've come out the other side now, and I won't say that I'm like, head over heels in love with it, because I'm still looking at a fairly dead scape, but like, I am excited for what's coming next.
Excited for what's coming. I mean, that was always going to be the challenge with this scape, was that even if things did go much more to plan with the move, the reality of moving a 7-foot reef into a brand new tank is you're going to lose something, or the rock's not going to sit exactly the same way. It's never going to look exactly the same as it did. And you're always going to view it for how it doesn't match what it used to look like. So this, in my opinion, is by far the best way to go. It's going to be a new scape with new corals. It's deliberate to not look exactly like the old one. It's a new tank. It makes sense.
And I've I asked a handful of people, a dozen people, on what would you do? Would you just keep everything as is and just put some more coral in there and live with it? And nearly everyone just said, don't make things harder for yourself. Keep the rock that you've got in there. It's good stuff.
Yep.
It's already seeded. It's already, you know, got everything you need. Just throw some more coral in there, and yeah, I just couldn't. Like, I couldn't place a coral in there and then know that my Walt Disney skeleton colony is underneath that.
It's holding the frag up. Yeah,
like, so for me,
destroying.
Yeah, for me it was just like, let's get this out, and I'm excited about the new scape. The new scape's pretty special.
Yeah, cool.
It's going to fit this tank really well, but it's also going to fit my SPS.
Yeah, perfect.
Love.
Well, this sounds like a good opportunity. Any chance we can have a look at this scape?
Yeah, sure. Let's go have a look.
All right, here is the scape, man. You've been busy out here. I love this bommy approach. You got some branching reef rock going on there. Can you tell us about the methodology or the thought process behind this scape?
Yeah, just plenty of arms holding SPS is really the key here.
Simple criteria. Yeah. I want lots of arms in all directions, hold an SPS.
Yeah, there's plenty of little points and stuff. I won't claim that this is my design. Like, I think the boys at Aquaristic have been doing scapes like this for some time, and I've taken some inspiration from them.
I mean, I think everyone would agree that everyone loves their scapes. They do these branch scapes here, and I do also like the fact that you've made this quite modular in that it's 3 independent bommies.
Yeah.
That for whatever reason, if you need to pull a bommy out to dip something or to, I don't know, add a new branch or take a branch off or do whatever you need to do, you've got the ability to rip it out and do such a thing.
Yeah, well, the Euro brace also determined that for me as well.
Yeah, well, Euro brace, but also just the limits of human capability of lifting in like a 120 kilo piece of rock.
That's right.
This makes it a little bit more tangible.
Yeah. So obviously you can see that there's very little contact points on the base.
Yes.
Which means I can get a lot of flow up and underneath them.
Beautiful.
But what you'll also know is you'll be able to see is they're fairly low.
Yes.
You can imagine like a 2 foot high tank is somewhere here. So there's lots of low branches.
Yes.
And you and I have been talking a little bit about this over the weekend, is that a lot of people just don't take into account and factor in how much your coral is actually going to, grow up, potentially breach the surface. So I do have some taller points here and stuff like that.
Yes.
For slower growing stuff, but I think what I want to do is just that real nice layer. So there's some tabling down low, and then another layer and another layer, and then some at the top. And one of the issues that I did have with the CADE, or not so much the CADE, the old scape, was I love Monty. I'm a sucker for Monty. But Monty brings its own, issues and struggles, and they tend to just do their thing and overtake and things like that. So I have specific little, arms and ledges in there for Monty cap and things like that. That will, they can take over and dominate that area, but they also, I'll have one here. It'll fill out a gap and kind of make the bommies look like one in piece. The end when it all grows in. So
let them grow in, but it gives you branches above them to mount stags and other things like that can just grow up and not shade things so much.
Yep. So just like everything else I do with the tank, it's overthought and overcomplicated, but there's reason behind it.
That's the nature of the hobby sometimes, I think.
Yeah, and I literally did this scape, and people probably won't believe me, but I did this scape in probably about 3 hours.
Yep.
I just got excited and caught up in it, pulled a bunch of rock out of the boxes, and just got to gluing and
started
got
wedging it together and gluing it in.
And it just started to kind of take shape, and I started to see exactly what I wanted out of it, and this is the final product. It's all held together, so it's pretty much that CA glue and stone fix.
Yep.
And so the big ugly mess of stone fix here in the middle is just to kind of hide big detritus traps, more so than to hold the whole lot together.
When you've got multiple pieces of branch rock that you fit together, they don't make a perfect. It's not like an engineered circle or square in the middle that it all fits together and seals off perfectly. You end up with these little wormholes that go down in there. And your reasoning behind that was that by blocking that off, you're hoping that it doesn't just accumulate detritus in there and just rot away without any sort of access given to it.
Yeah. So since the crash, I've been very, very worried and conscientious of, you know, housing all of that harmful bacteria in rock. And I think that some rock being so porous and with so many holes and stuff in there where stuff just lives for years and years and years, and the moment you stir it up, you see something like what happened with me. This rock hopefully isn't going to do anything like that. There's plenty of, you know, plenty of open space for water movement, but anywhere that things could settle will settle for a small amount of time and then get blown off or whatever. But that's all great in theory. Let's see what happens when coral grows in.
It's theory, but this is the hobby that we continually evolve based off what we've learnt, what's worked for us, what's not worked for us, what disasters have happened. And it's great to see that, like I said, not only that this is an evolution of what you've learnt from your reefing time, but also that it's reignited the passion for you in the hobby, which truly warms my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, something had to, right?
Now, Jared, we've just had a look at that scape, and you talked about how by changing it, it's going to give you the ability to go with completely new corals and start sort of fresh with frags or smaller pieces. But you also touched on that it's going to give you a bit more swim space for some of your fish. Now, can I ask, is that because your fish are growing, or you've got some plans for some additional fish down the line?
Yeah, the fish are definitely growing. That's for sure. There's definitely no shortage of fat bellies in there. But yeah, I would like to add a few. Like the angel bug has kind of caught me, and I would love a queen angel.
A queen angel.
I would love.
Very, very
I would
nice.
love one. That's on the cards. Potentially, maybe an Achilles.
Okay.
There's a fair few tangs in there already. I don't seem to have angel aggression.
I've got to say, I'm super envious of the angels you have in here. This I know, like I know the tank is not where it has been before right now, but even when it was at its peak in the CADE, you still had the big emperor in there. You had the blue face in there, and I'm like, do these things not smash the corals?
No, they've been really good. Like they'll go and eat some of the slime coat and some of the algae, like you see the yellow doing there now. But
yes.
They're all pretty good modern citizens. Like they won't, they're not aggressive really towards each other. Like the big guy is the boss, as he was before. He'll grunt and hiss and
I love his grunts.
Tell people to move out of the way, and But no, there isn't really any coral nipping or anything like that happening. And I've had angels. Like, don't get me wrong. There's been a flame angel in here was a coral eater.
It was not a model citizen, but even things like this keyhole angel, I've never even considered them reef safe with caution.
Yeah, another one. It was a trial.
Yeah.
Trial and error. Like, I'm all about trying new things, and we've even seen some things this weekend where we've kind of scratched our heads on. Well, that's not really possible, is it?
Exactly. The reefing rule book says this.
Yeah, and people show otherwise, so why not try things?
Give it a try, yeah.
So yeah, a queen angel would be nice, an Achilles tang would be nice if he, if he can adapt. We did lose a orange shoulder a while back, and I've missed him.
Yes,
especially like that contrast grey.
Definitely, yeah.
And I'm just looking for some colours that just are a little bit different.
Just fill the gaps.
I did have a big school of light-tail anthias that just one by one went missing.
Yep.
So maybe something a little bit bigger, like some square block anthias.
Sure. Yeah.
That different colour.
Yeah, different colour, different swim pattern.
Some variants in there. But I was considering maybe like some shrimp again.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, nothing too. Well, I'm saying nothing too crazy, but I just mentioned
Achilles and a queen angel. Yeah, nothing much,
But I'm happy with what I've got in there.
Of course,
I can live with what I've got.
Potential fish, not I'm getting these next week.
They don't have to be in there, but they are. If I was going to get some, that's what I would get. I need to get my lyre-tail angel a partner again. She passed a little while ago. She jumped when I didn't have the nets on, and he's been looking a little bit lonely. So I need to find him a girlfriend again. But yeah, everyone else is good, happy, fat, and Maybe some more chromis. They've dwindled down. They've killed each other off. And,
as they tend to do.
yep.
Well, with that in mind, that's some future plans. I mean, we've obviously talked about future plans with coral, which is any bright coloured SPS frag under the sun. You've got space for now, which is exciting.
Yep.
Some fish, which could well include the future of a Queen Angel and Achilles. So
Yep.
all things looking very exciting here. Equipment-wise, any changes, plans, things that may be adapted to the system?
I'm going to build some kind of a skirting or some kind of a hood
Yes.
around the top here, just to take that glare.
Of course.
You know, when you're sitting on that chair and watching it, the lighting really is in your eyes.
Yes.
So just something to take that away. So I'll build something there.
Take full advantage of that T-slot where you can attach things to that nice and easily.
Yeah. And yeah, obviously just getting some kind of algae in that reactor, and
Of course, yeah.
putting that to its through its paces and seeing how that works. Like it can be converted into a frag tank if I decide that
Exactly.
a huge is not for me.
Yep. Gives
And
you
I just want
options.
to do GFO or
Could be frag tank, could be prison for fish that, you know, maybe that Queen Angel down the track ends up playing cheeky buggers, and you've got to put it somewhere else. It gives you lots of flexibility for things like that, which is a very wise idea.
yeah. But I've brought a lot of equipment over
Yep.
from the other tank, so I don't really need anything. I would like to upgrade the skimmer.
Yep.
I don't know really. There's nothing that's really, sparking up interest at the moment.
Yeah. You say you're interested in upgrading the skimmer, but you don't know what to yet. Well, you haven't got something in mind, just testing the waters.
Yeah, if something comes up and it fits the space and it looks the part, then I might grab it then. But this is doing the job.
That's it. Yeah.
So a couple more, probably, like I said before, MP60s, MP40s, maybe just to
Really
make
that
the back wall a lot cleaner and neater. And
Yep. I do think when you change the scape out to the new scape with that very open structure, you're going to have a lot more flow than you currently do.
Yes.
So that might be a long-term requirement for more flow pumps, but I don't think you're going to need them anytime soon.
yeah, and then I've just got to tidy it up and get it to my standard kind of thing. Run the dosing lines, and
Once you've unboxed all the things from the house move, you might get a chance to spend a minute on the tank.
yeah, tidy up that little room under there and get that all working well.
Nice,
And
nice.
like I said, I'm not even dosing yet, so
Yeah.
I gotta get all that sorted out. The calc reactor's not running. It's not consuming anything at the moment. So.
Fair call.
Yeah,
Fair call.
but I just want to get it running, working.
Of course, get it back into the
Looking
spot
nice.
where it's consuming elements and growing and doing everything it should, which is
Yeah.
fair. Well, I've got to say, it's fantastic to see you in your new house with the brand new tank and with a whole new energy to the reefing hobby, which is really, really exciting to see. I know personally, I cannot thank you enough. Every time I come to Sydney, you are the first person to put your hand up and say, I've got a place for you to stay. I can pick you up, I can drive you around, and it does not go unnoticed. And I know I'm only one of so many people in this hobby that you continually help out. So it is super, super heartwarming to see that you've been able to get some help, get this system up and running, and you're in a position now where you can just excel with a whole new scape, whole new corals again. It's fantastic to see, and I wish you all the best with it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming.
Cheers. All right, guys, there you have it. That is Jared's brand new water box, and of course, all of the challenges he went through in that move from the CADE over to the water box. What an absolute task that must have been. These tanks are big. That's a lot of rock, a lot of coral, and of course, a lot of fish you got to keep alive, whilst, trying to move your house, your family, all of your possessions, and of course, then throwing in a brand new custom sump from Dreams Plus. It must have been a monumental task, and to be fair, I think Jared's done incredibly well to keep all of those fish doing as well as they are, and even seeing some of those corals bounce back now. SPS can be a super finicky coral, and as soon as things drop out of that window, it can all go downhill pretty quickly. So personally, I think Jared's done an incredible job, and I know it did hit him pretty hard seeing some of those corals that he'd worked so hard out to grow and get beautiful coloration on them. To see them die must have been absolutely heartbreaking, but I tell you what, it's never easy moving a reef tank, and to do it with all of those other things happening, I think you've done an incredible job. And I'm super, super excited to see with your new scape and your newfound enthusiasm for the hobby, what that system's going to look like in another 6, 12, 18 months time. And you can rest assured that I will absolutely give an update right here on Parker's Reefs. Now, it would be remiss of me not to give a massive shout out to all of my channel members. Their names are on screen here. These guys chip in a couple of dollars each and every month to make it possible for me to jet off all around Australia and film these incredible reef tanks to share it with you guys at home for free of charge. So a massive shout out to everyone on screen here. And of course, a massive shout out to everyone who is a channel subscriber. That takes 2 seconds of your time. It costs no money whatsoever. It does help the algorithm push this video out to more people, which really helps the engagement and keeps this channel viable. So if you have not yet subscribed, and about 40% of you have not, please consider hitting that subscribe button in the bottom corner there. It takes 2 seconds, costs no money whatsoever. Now I will wrap things up there. I am continuing on 2 videos each and every weekend right up through till the end of the year. And next weekend we've got 2 videos. One's going to be a brand new solution to battery backups or power outages on any reef tank out there, and the other one's going to be a sneak peek on a very highly anticipated product that is due to launch any day now. So I look forward to seeing you next weekend for both of those videos. And other than that, guys, I've got nothing else to say, so stay safe, keep reefing. Cheers, bye.